friends, it's time for our Chris Van Allsburg read aloud today. Today we will be reading the story Jumanji. You might have heard of this one. There's a movie that was filmed quite a few years ago that had Robin Williams in it and a couple of kid actors, and now there's like a whole new series of Jumanji movies with some pretty funny characters in it. So it all originates from this book, Jumanji. So you need to have your packet, and you're going to be working on not that one, that was yesterday. Oops. So you have this first. So yesterday in the Garden of Abdul Ghazazi, Fritz was the main character in the story. So I wrote main character found throughout the book. So today in Jumanji, you're going to be keeping your eyes peeled for where Fritz is, and you're going to write where you see him on that line. Okay? So you're going to be working on this. This is our story element. It's not story elements, but just our summary of Chris Van Allsburg today. So here's a quick summary of the story. I'll talk to you more about that at the end. And the questions that we're listening for today are, did Judy and Peter dream the whole thing, or did it really happen? Give evidence from the text to support your answer, your theory. Once again, this is a story. We don't know whether or not certain things happen, but you have to have evidence to support whatever viewpoint you think. Also, at the end of the story, we need to make a prediction. What's going to happen next? And then down below that, how do we know? What's our evidence that makes you think what's going to happen? Okay? So without further ado, we have Jumanji. It says, very important on the back. Once a game of Jumanji is started, it will not be over until one player reaches the Golden City. Yeah, the artwork once again is stunning. This one a Caldecott medal. And I took the jacket off, so it's because it's easier to read. Okay, here we go. Jumanji. All right, here's your title page. Something is found at the base of a tree. Jumanji. Now remember, Mother said, your father and I are bringing some guests by after the opera, so please keep the house neat. Quite so, added Father, tucking his scarf inside his coat. Mother peered into the hall mirror and carefully pinned her hat in place, then knelt and kissed both of her children goodbye. When the front door closed, Judy and Peter giggled with delight. They took all the toys out of their toy chest and made a terrible mess. But their laughter slowly turned to silence till finally Peter slouched into a chair. You know what? He said, I'm really bored. Me too, sighed Judy. Why don't we go outside and play? Peter agreed, so they set off across the street to the park. It was cold for November. The children could see their breath like steam. They rolled in the leaves, and when Judy tried to stuff some leaves down Peter's sweater, he jumped up and ran behind a tree. When his sister caught up with him, he was kneeling at the foot of the tree, looking at a long, thin box. What is that? Judy asked. It's a game, said Peter, handing her the box. Jumanji, Judy read from the box. A jungle adventure game. Look, said Peter, pointing to a note taped to the bottom of the box. In a childlike handwriting were the words, free game. Fun for some, but not for all. P.S. Read instructions carefully. Want to take it home? Judy asked. All right, let's listen to that again. That's important. That's some clues right there. In child handwriting, okay? So this note was written by a kid. Free game. Fun for some, but not all. P.S. Read instructions carefully. Okay, some very clues there. Want to take it home, Judy asked. Not really, said Peter. I'm sure somebody left it here because it's so boring. Oh, come on, protested Judy. Let's give it a try. Race you home. And off she ran with Peter at her heels. Do you guys see something on this page? I see something. At home, the children spread the game out on the card table. It looked very much like the games they already had. There was a board that unfolded, revealing a path of colored squares. The squares had messages written on them. The path started in the deepest jungle and ended in Jumanji, a city of golden buildings and towers. Peter began to shake the dice and play with the other pieces that were in the box. Put those down and listen, said Judy. I'm going to read the instructions. Oh, good, she took the advice. Jumanji, a young people's jungle adventure, especially designed for the bored and restless. And what's he been saying? I'm bored. A, player selects piece and places it in the deepest jungle. B, player rolls dice and moves piece along path through the dangers of the jungle. C, first player to reach Jumanji and yell the city's name aloud is the winner. Is that all? Asked Peter, sounding disappointed. No, said Judy. There's one more thing, and this is in capital letters. D. And when something is written in all capital letters, we know that it's meant to stand out. It says, can I see it? Oh. All right, letter D. Very important. Once a game of Jumanji is started, it will not be over until a player reaches the Golden City. So it will not be over until someone reaches the Golden City. Oh no. Oh, big deal, said Peter, who gave a bored yawn. Here, said Judy, handing her brother the dice. You go first. Peter casually dropped the dice from his hand. 7, said Judy. Peter moved his piece to the 7th square. Lion attacks. Move back 2 spaces, read Judy. Gosh, how exciting, said Peter in a very unexcited voice. As he reached for his piece, he looked up at his sister. She had a look of absolute horror on her face. Probably one like this. Or maybe more horror, I'm sure. Peter, she whispered, turn around very, very slowly. The boy turned in his chair. He couldn't believe his eyes. Lying on the piano was a lion, staring at Peter and licking his lips. Oh, man. His face. The lion roared so loud it knocked Peter right off his chair. The big cat jumped to the floor. Peter was up on his feet, running through the house with a lion at whiskers length behind. He ran upstairs and dove under the bed. The lion tried to squeeze under, but he got his head stuck. Peter scrambled out, ran from the bedroom, and slammed the door behind him. He stood in the hall with Judy, gasping for breath. I don't think, said Peter in between gasps of air, that I want to play this game anymore. But we have to, said Judy as she helped Peter back downstairs. I'm sure that's what the instructions mean. The lion won't go away until one of us wins the game. Oh, next we have monkeys. Monkey attack. Peter stood next to the card table. Can't we just call the zoo and have him taken away? From upstairs came the sounds of growling and clawing at the bedroom door. Or maybe we could wait until Father comes home. No one would come from the zoo because they wouldn't believe us, said Judy. And you know how upset Mother would be if there was a lion in the bedroom. We started this game, now we have to finish it. Peter looked down at the game board. What if Judy rolled a 7? There'd be 2 lions. For an instant, Peter thought he was going to cry. Then he sat firmly in his chair and said, "Let's play." Judy picked up the dice, rolled an 8, and moved her piece. "Monkeys steal food. Miss 1 turn," she read. From the kitchen came the sounds of banging pots, falling jars. The children ran to see a dozen monkeys tearing the room apart. I love the face. Love the face. All right, what do we got next? Oh, look at those monkeys. "Oh boy," said Peter. "This would upset Mother even more than the lion." "Quick," said Judy, "let's get back to the game." Peter took his turn. Thank heavens he landed on a blank space. He rolled again. "Monsoon season begins. Lose 1 turn." Monsoon, lots of rain. Little raindrops began to fall in the living room. Then a roll of thunder shook the walls and scared the monkeys out of the kitchen. The rain began to fall in buckets as Judy took the dice. See the water on the ground and the stranger sitting on the dollhouse. Guide gets lost, lose 1 turn. The rain suddenly stopped. The children turned to see a man hunched over a map. "Oh dear, I say, spot of bad luck now," he mumbled. "Perhaps a left turn here, then, no, a right turn here, yeah, absolutely. I think a right turn, or maybe—" "Excuse me," said Judy, but the guide just ignored her. "Around here, then over there, no, over here, and, around there, yes, good, but then, Judy shrugged her shoulders and handed the dice to Peter. Here's your cover. What kind of attack is this, guys? Those are rhinos. 4, 5, 6, he counted. Bitten by tsetse fly. Contract sleeping sickness. Lose 1 turn. Judy heard a faint buzzing noise and watched a small insect land on Peter's nose. Peter lifted his hand to brush the bug away, but then stopped, gave a tremendous yawn, and fell sound asleep, his head on the table. Peter, wake up!" cried Judy, but it was no use. She gathered the dice and moved to a blank. She rolled again and waited in amazement. Rhinoceros stampede. Go back 2 spaces. As fast as he had fallen asleep, Peter awoke. Together, they listened to a rumble in the hallway. It grew louder and louder. Suddenly, a herd of rhinos charged through the living room and into the dining room, crushing all the furniture in their path. Peter and Judy covered their ears as sounds of splintering wood and breaking china filled the house. Oh, now what do we have to deal with? Looks like maybe a snake. Peter gave the dice a quick tumble. Python sneaks into camp. Go back 1 place. Judy shrieked, "Ah!" and jumped up on her chair. "Over the fireplace!" said Peter. Judy sat down again, nervously eyeing the 8-foot snake that was wrapping itself around the mantel clock. The guide looked up from his map, took 1 look at the snake, and moved to the far corner of the room, joining the monkeys on the couch. Wow, what's next? Judy took her turn and landed on a blank space. Her brother took the dice and rolled a 3. "Oh no!" he moaned. Volcano erupts. Go back 3 spaces. The room became warm and started to shake a little. Molten lava poured from the fireplace opening. It hit the water on the floor and the room filled with steam. Judy rolled the dice and moved ahead. Discover shotgun. Shortcut. Roll again. "Oh dear," she cried. Judy saw the snake unwrapping itself from the clock. "If you roll a 12, you can get out of the jungle," said Peter. Please. Judy begged as she shook the dice. The snake was wriggling his way to the floor. She dropped the dice from her hand. 1 6. Then another. Judy grabbed her piece and slammed it to the board. Jumanji! She yelled as loud as she could. The steam in the room became thicker and thicker. Judy could not even see Peter across the table. Then, as if all the doors and windows had been opened, a cool breeze cleared the steam from the room. Everything was just as it had been before the game. No monkeys, no guide, no water, no broken furniture, no snake, no lion roaring upstairs, no rhinos. Was it real, guys? Did it really happen to them? Without saying a word to each other, Peter and Judy threw the game into its box. They bolted out the door, ran across the street to the park, and dropped the game under a tree. Back home, they quickly put all their toys away. But both children were too excited to sit quietly, so Peter took out a picture puzzle. As they fit the pieces together, their excitement slowly turned to relief and then exhaustion. With the puzzle half done, Peter and Judy fell asleep on the sofa. I love the way he looks at her. These are the grown-ups looking down at them. Now, if this happened to you, would you tell, this kind of reminds me of Dr. Seuss, The Cat in the Hat. Would you tell your mom the truth, or would you say nothing happened? Let's find out what these kids do. Wake up, dears, Mother's voice called. Judy opened her eyes. Mother and Father had returned, and their guests were arriving. Judy gave Peter a nudge to wake him. Yawning and stretching, they got to their feet. Mother introduced them to some of the guests, then asked, "Did you have an exciting afternoon?" "Oh, yes," said Peter. "We had a flood, a stampede, a volcano. I got sleeping sickness, and..." Peter was interrupted by the adults' laughter. Because grown-ups sometimes never believe kids. "Well," said Mother, "I think you both got sleeping sickness. Why don't you go upstairs and put your pajamas on? Then you can finish your puzzle and have some dinner." Why did the mom say you had sleeping sickness? What were they doing when they got home? I don't know. Let's see. This is the last page, and Chris Van Allsburg is going to leave you on a cliffhanger. So pay attention. There's 2 boys back in the park, and it looks like this boy has something under his arms. I wonder what it could be. When Peter and Judy came back downstairs, they found that Father had moved the puzzle into the den. While the children were working on it, one of the guests, Mrs. Budwig, brought them a tray of food. "Such a hard puzzle," she said to the children. "Daniel and Walter are always starting puzzles and never finishing them." Daniel and Walter were Mrs. Budwig's sons. They never read instructions either. There's some clues there. Okay, let me read that again to you. "Such a hard puzzle," she said to the children. "Daniel and Walter are always starting puzzles and never finishing them." Daniel and Walter are Mrs. Budwig's sons. They never read instructions either. "Oh, well," said Mrs. Budwig, turning to rejoin the guests. "I guess they'll learn." Both children answered, "I hope so." But they weren't looking at Mrs. Budwig. They were looking out the window. 2 boys were running through the park. They were Danny and Walter Budwig. And Danny had a long, thin box under his arm. These are the 2 boys that don't read instructions and don't finish things they start. What do you think's going to happen, friends? That's it. Left you on a cliffhanger. Okay, so back to your story sheet for today. Okay. Oh, where's my paper? Oh, here it is. Sorry about that. So here's your 2-sentence summary. I'm just going to read it and then I'll hold it up. Two children left alone for the afternoon find more excitement than they ever thought possible from a found mysterious board game. Did the crazy events that took place that afternoon really happen? Okay, so here you go. You can pause it to copy this down, or you can screenshot it, take a picture of it, whatever you want to do so that you get to have it copied for yourself. Okay, so the next question is, did Judy and Peter dream the whole thing, or did it really happen? Give evidence from the text to support your theory. Okay, so I think, so just like today, I think Peter and Judy dreamed the whole thing. I think Peter and Judy really played the game. And then because, what were your reasons from the book that would say, yeah, they really played it? Okay. Not down here, make a prediction. What will happen next? So those two boys ran out of the park carrying a box, a long, thin box under their arms. What do you think is going to happen next? Because we're left on a cliffhanger. What's going to happen next? If you think that the boys will take the game and play it, what do you think's gonna, how do you know? Well, they were running from the park, right? What makes you think so? Now, what did we learn about those two boys? They never what? If you said finish games, if you said follow directions, okay. All right, make some predictions. Fill the sheet, have it ready to be talked about at 11:10. All right, see you guys then. I hope you enjoyed Jumanji. I enjoyed reading it too.